Welcome to another edition of the Real Estate Pulse. We're here today with Samia Morgan. Samia is the owner broker of the Samia Realty Group. Welcome, Samia.
Hello, Tom.
Hi. In this segment, we're going to discuss the home selling process. So, first, why don't you tell us what a seller should do to start the process?
Well, Tom, there are 6 phases to listing your home.
Okay, so take us through the first step, selecting an agent, and tell us why that's so important.
So glad you asked. You need to make sure you have the right agent working for you. There are tons and tons of agents out there, and in the last few years, we've had even more, which is great. However, when you're selling your home, usually that's the biggest investment you have. So you want to make sure that you're hiring a realtor, a member of the National Association of Realtors.
What do you mean by that? Explain.
Well, a realtor who is a member of the National Association of Realtors has agreed to abide by a particular code of ethics. And if you're a real estate agent but not a realtor, then you're not bound by that code of ethics.
So hire a professional.
Absolutely.
Okay, right. So how do you find your realtor?
Well, you're going to get a lot of recommendations from your friends, colleagues, whether you've asked for them or not. And that's great because you want someone that has already performed well for someone else. But make sure you Google that person in the city where you live to make sure they're active in that area. And interview at least 3 agents. You want to be comfortable with them. You want to find the right chemistry. You want to be able to trust them with your investment. Ask them for their statistics. What are their sale price to list price ratio? What are the days on the market that they've had for their sales? You don't want somebody to just come in and tell you they're the best and get great recommendations. Excuse me. But you also want to see their results. And you also, lastly, but most importantly, want somebody who listens to you, somebody who understands what your priorities are.
Okay. So the right agent. What's next? Let's take the issue of staging. Should you do it, and how does that work?
Well, Tom, that's one of my pet peeves. Thanks for asking. I think you only have one chance to make that great first impression. And oftentimes people don't understand staging. If you go to a model home, for example, that home has been staged. Everything in its place. The space looks wonderful. You could really visualize yourself living there. And that's the art of staging. And it's not really as expensive as not staging can be because you want that buyer to feel comfortable and not see a lot of clutter and be able to visualize themselves in that home as well. So you spend a little money and return on your investment is going to be huge.
Okay, so what's next? What about all the disclosures and inspections? Does the seller need to do those?
Well, glad you asked. Inspections are something that in the last maybe decade have been very common for a seller to do because you want to negotiate with information. You want to tell the buyer you want to sell as is, but you also want to give them a professional's opinion of what that as is means. Do they need a new roof? Is a chimney broken? What should they expect? That doesn't mean you need to do the work that's in the inspections. That depends on the kind of market in which you're selling. But you want to give them information from a professional. Disclosures are so very important. Not only are they required by law, but they will really, really help you in the selling process. Again, you want to give the buyer the information they need, and you want to, when in doubt, disclose. Just because you had a leak that you fixed doesn't mean you do not disclose it, and that's something that's often overlooked by a lot of sellers. You want to mention that leak because 5 years down the road, that leak may come back, and if the buyer knew about it, then they feel okay. They knew. Otherwise, they'll feel like you've hidden something from them, and what else have you been hiding? So it's a honeymoon period, I call it. When you disclose everything up front, the buyer's making an informed decision. So complete all the inspections, all the disclosures, and listen to your realtor for all their recommendations.
Got it. Okay. So what about pricing? Do you price above market and negotiate down? What's the strategy?
Well, pricing is so very key. There isn't any amount of marketing that I can do or any other agent can do that can negate bad pricing. You want to price at or below market value, excuse me. You want to appeal competitive, you want to be aggressive, and I have a whole lot of discussion about pricing that I typically have with my clients before we go on the market.
Okay. Showtime. Do's and don'ts. Tell us about that.
Well, Tom, when a buyer comes through your home, if your home, they're not going to feel comfortable. They're going to want to zip through there and not spend a lot of time because they feel like they're imposing on your time. Please, if the buyer comes in with the agent, make sure the lights are on, music's playing, and get the heck out of there. Leave them and let them stay as long as they want, because you want them to open drawers and cabinets and closets and measure and visualize themselves moving in. This is a key buying signal, and you want them to be comfortable doing that. Do not chat with them. Do not talk to the agent. Do not do any of those things that sound so innocent, but you can tipping a negotiating point. So let the agent or the buyer ask your agent for any questions they may have. That's why you hired a professional. So get out of the way and let your agent do the work.
And put the prospective buyer in the driver's seat. Let them feel comfortable. There.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay. Now we get an offer. What then?
Well, your agent will prepare you for offers, whether they're multiple offers or single offer. Depends on your market and your pricing and the price range. So you always have three choices. When you look at an offer, you can accept it, you can reject it, or you can counter it. So you can say, I accept all these terms except A, B, and C. And it's not necessarily price, it's price and terms. So listen to your agent. Maybe if you've been on the market a long time, you do another market analysis and see where the buyer's coming from. Don't make emotional decisions, make sound, objective decisions. If you're serious about selling and that buyer has spent the time to review your disclosures and inspections and bring you a bona fide offer, take the time to respond. And go for a win-win approach. I always recommend that to my clients.
Okay, so when do we close escrow, and what does that really mean? Explain.
Okay, so closing escrow means that the transfer has actually taken place. The buyer's money has come in and your deed has been signed over to them. That's what closing really means. And throughout the country, closing, settlement, different terms for pretty much the same thing. If your buyer's been pre-approved and you've done all your inspections and you have an as-is sale, chances are the time between the offer acceptance to closing is fairly short and uneventful, which is what you want. If the buyer is shaky or they haven't been pre-approved, then it may be a whole different story, and your agent will work with you as to whether you should be looking at a backup offer or whether it's going to be okay.
Interesting. Okay, so for more information, contact Samia for her book and get on the best deal in selling your home. Available to all of our clients or free at Amazon. You want to tell more?
Yes, actually, thanks for the plug, Tom. I co-authored this book on selling successfully in the Bay Area and how to get top dollars. And of course, if you're a client of mine, you get that book for free. Otherwise, feel free to look it up at Amazon, as you mentioned.
Okay. So, Samia, how does our viewer contact you?
Well, the viewer can reach me directly at my direct line at 650-352-5220, at my website, which is movetoca.com. That's move, the number 2, CA for California.com, or via email, of course, Samia, SAMIA, at SamiaMorgan.com.
Thanks, Samia, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Tom. Nice being here.
Great, thanks.